So the Pokemon TCG art illustration contest has kind of become a big deal with over 15 million views on the quarterfinal announcement. Now, a lot of people are upset that AI made it into the top 300, so that's contributing to all these views, right? No, you just have artists like showing their work. Either, "Aw man, I didn't make it in," or "Hey, I actually qualified. Isn't that really cool?" So yeah, there's a couple of them where it's like, yeah, 68,000 views saying, pretty upset to see all of the AI entries in there, when it's like 10 out of 300, maybe a little more. But for the most part, that really isn't driving the virality. Just somehow this got like 15 million views. And I made a video talking about my surprise, like, wow, AI snuck into the top 300, how did that happen? And my assumption, because the Pokemon community got so upset over this, was that using AI generations was against the rules. After actually reading the rules, I couldn't find anything. So anyone could have honed their Midjourney skills until they got a generation that didn't look janky and potentially make it onto a Pokemon card, or an artist could have actually generated a background and then drawn a Pokemon over it, because looking at the submission guidelines, like, don't do anything offensive, violent, mature themes, you know, okay, that makes sense, must not contain material, violates or infringes other rights. AI art objectively doesn't steal from anyone, and if you use it to generate an original piece of work, that falls under the rules, and then must not include third parties like minors, celebrities, likenesses, and stuff. So, going through the rules, the Q&A, and everything else, you could have used AI. And of course, the Pokemon community just mad and toxic and wrong as always. See, that's what happens. Every time I give the community just the slightest benefit of the doubt or credit that maybe they might be onto something, it ends up being wrong. Has to be created by them alone. Making AI art doesn't violate that rule at all, unless Photoshop means you're disqualified because you're using a program, so that means you're not making it by yourself alone. Has to not infringe intellectual property rights. That's because artists are deranged and they think that viewing someone else's art is theft. Now, where it gets interesting is the max 3 submissions because the person entered multiple times. So it seems like this Vigo dude submitted multiple times under multiple aliases with the same kind of AI art for multiple Pokemon. With multiple different ways. We have Vigo K, we have Vigo, Cachadurian, and then Vegan, and yeah, okay, so weird stuff happened there which does violate the rules. But that's outside of AI, and that also means, like, because of AI, you can spam entries, but that's against the rules. However, even with these aliases, they made it into the top 300 multiple times with AI art. So actually, if you just made a really good AI piece and submitted your limit of 3, you had a good chance of just getting in. And it says you may be disqualified. So it's not like a hard, you will be disqualified, everything gets thrown out if you try to break this rule. And I saw a post where someone ran this through like an AI art detector. I don't know how actually trustworthy and reliable those are, and this one flagged, which also makes sense, because I looked at that, I was like, oh, this one seems like an AI submission. But I mean, okay, so what about Amber? They did it. Like, if this was AI, then they got through with it, and that's completely legal and by the rules, and they made a good card. Like, that would be hilarious if this actually wins, because this looks like a Pokemon card. That looks like a winning Pokemon card, and it's completely legal and by the rules to do it for AI. So, like, the derangement that follows is also crazy. And then all the arguments against using AI within the rules is just fallacy. What are you saying? I can't hear you over the cries of having no talent and having to cheat by stealing from others to mimic having skills. Artists mad that an art generation program is better than them. And again, there's objectively no theft unless you instruct the AI to plagiarize, but then that's the human plagiarizing, much like how human artists plagiarize. But I'm mostly just surprised because you would think, like, oh, the Pokemon company is making a Pokemon card and there's a contest for that. This seems like where AI would be disallowed, and there's nothing about it. So we're gonna have to see next year, like, if this outrage causes something in the rules, or if the Pokemon company doesn't care. Like, that would be the most Japan move ever that I would love to see. Where just, like, this one wins, or like an AI card wins because it didn't break any rules, and it's going to be allowed next year, and AI only gets better. So that would be crazy. And then a lot of artists are just complaining. Huge congrats to the quarter finalists, though I have to say I am disappointed in the AI entries that made it through, while my pieces took 30 hours each. Doesn't matter. You lost fair and square. Kinda, because, like, the multiple submissions, yeah, that's sketchy, but, like, to any rule-following AI has nothing to do with it. Like, you lost, you didn't make it in the top 300, deal. I'm just going to have to work harder and hone my skills for next year. And that's kind of a lot of it. You know, sucks. I actually worked really hard on my submissions. Annoyed AI got in. Doesn't matter. And another thing is, like, some of the submissions I've seen where people are like, oh, I didn't make it in, they actually violated the rules. And then just straight up lies. This must be a joke. So many are AI generated. When it's like maybe 10 out of 300. I didn't look into all of them, and even though it is harder to generate for lesser popular Pokemon, maybe there's an AI Absol in there somewhere. People are just kind of going over the same examples of the ones that, like, everyone saw, and mostly vegan. Revisit the results. AI theft. I mean, where's the theft? What is being infringed or stolen with these generations? Nothing. The derangement against AI is insane. That's why, like, yo, I want to see the reversal of, like, yeah, art competitions allow AI art just to spite this entitlement and toxicity and stupidity. No place in an art contest like this. Make better art then. I guess I didn't make the top 300. Kind of sad to see several AI artists have multiple entries make it in, taking away spots from genuine artists. This person thinks they were like 305th place. I've also been seeing that where it's like, oh, the artist I like didn't make it in. It's only because of AI art. It's like, no, like, you weren't 302nd, and that's why you didn't make it in. My submission, it didn't make top 300, but I enjoyed the challenge. I know what I need to do to improve next time. A little upset about hearing the inclusion of AI. This violates the rules because they say you can't have any text on the card. Also, I wonder if, like, some artists, like, they used existing art and they didn't take out their watermark. That would get you disqualified. And this goes against the reference material pretty hard. So while it is a very interesting artistic style and a good piece of art, it doesn't qualify by the rules of the tournament, and you want to kind of hold as close to as possible to the reference material, because that's one of the big guidelines. So much like in the Pokemon VGC or TCG or Play Pokemon or just this godforsaken community in general, no one reads the rules, they're overly entitled and deranged, and then they complain when, like, there's nothing to complain about. And also, looking at some of the people complaining about not making it into the top 300, you know, they made their art too busy. They didn't make it about the Pokemon. Is it okay to draw another Pokemon in addition to the one specified? In principle, you should only draw one Pokemon per illustration, so it's easy to tell the subject. As long as it's clear who the main subject is, you may draw additional Pokemon. Illustration will be judged on the main Pokemon. So adding in an extra Pokemon doesn't do anything. It might contribute to background points, but if it distracts from the card at all, that's just going to get you disqualified, or at least make it to where you lose points and you don't make it into the top 300. Same thing, you may use as many or as few effects as you want. Make sure they do not cover the starring Pokemon. The Pokemon is supposed to be the star, so it's, like, clearly in the rules, so keep that in mind. But yeah, when you see these AI complaints and these breakdowns, it's like, oh wow, we're trying to expose cheaters, when really there wasn't any cheating. And even, like, a human artist or someone that, like, submitted 6 of their own drawn art, they would be under the same complaints as this individual. And yeah, we're not seeing anything like that. So weird stuff happening. I did want to update because this is a really interesting story, and this whole thing went, like, crazier than I expected in multiple different ways. So there we go. Tell me what you guys think. Comment your thoughts down below. Also, real quick, as I was, like, scrolling to wrap up the video, I saw this. If only AI art didn't overshadow genuine art made by human hands. You're the only ones doing it. It's kind of a Streisand effect, because, like, a lot of people see that and just be like, I think AI made it in, but then everyone's, like, getting super upset and, like, proving, like, oh, look at this, it's AI! Trying to get their terminally online outrage culture going. But, like, yeah, you're the ones overshadowing it for the fake internet points when it wasn't ever against the rules, and calling the chances stolen and stuff. It's wild. So it's gonna be interesting for next year. Maybe this, like, I want to see it to where, like, AI is still allowed, and that just opens it up to more people. So, like, I don't understand why these gatekeeping artists are so upset when they can't compete fair and square. I don't know. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.